Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So I'm off the Diablo 2 for a couple of days and decided to put together a really easy, I guess, sort of build guide for those who are maybe beginners or struggling and can't quite get to the DPS that they want to get to play the end game. Now, understandably, PoE can be a bit difficult, and I've read on a couple of Facebook groups people have been struggling. Anyway, I did a bit of research around, I guess, really easy builds to play, and I basically slapped this Impale Cyclone build together in like an hour, if that, and not even using... So this is just on my standard account. This is just using trash gear that I could scrounge together, and from looking at the POB, we get about 1.3 million DPS. So yeah, how did I do this? What did I do? Well, number one, obviously we have a tree, and I'll put that in the description as to how to build, and I'll quickly run through that. But basically, the gear that I'm using, really simply, Impale is, you know, one of the easiest builds you could play possibly. Simply just using a Terminus Est. It's like a 1 or 2C sword. Now I've got this 6 length. You can 5 link it, you know, and still get a decent result. I'm using an Abyssus helm, and the way that champion works is it gives you can set it up so that it'll give you permanent fortify, as you can see here, which technically turns my sword 6 link into a technical 7 link. The fortify will then mitigate the effects of the Abyssus, fortunately, which means that you can get all the benefits of the Abyssus with much less downside than what you usually get on any other ascendancy class, hence why the champion is probably the best for this. There's another reason why the champion's good at Impale as well, and I'll show you very shortly. For the chest, I'm just using a Chaos. I think they were selling for like 15C this league. For my amulet, I'm using an Impresence, but realistically, any amulet that gives you added physical damage, and also anything with crit multiplier and crit chance and life or whatnot, that's pretty much the amulet you want to get. For the purpose of this build, I haven't even really focused on anointing this with the perfect anoint. There's obviously different anoints you can use for sword classes. This is a sword class build as well. Gloves, any old gloves that have a decent life roll and 3 resist rolls on it. These are shit resist rolls. They're what? T3, T7 and T2, rank 2. So they're garbage rolls, so nothing crazy. Really basic Stygian Vise, you know, 80 life and a triple roll or a double roll, and then I've crafted on a roll. I'm using Stampedes, and that's just for the extra movement speed, but there's no need to run Stampede. You can run whatever boots you want to run. This is it's just a really cool set of boots, and it gives you 150% base movement speed. Rings, just using a steel ring. If you can get it, you want to get reduction to channel less mana. Craft, and that's just a 2C craft on each ring, and then the rings are basically focused on maxing out resistances, maxing out life, and where you can, getting physical damage to attacks. These rings are nowhere near perfect, and they're not that good, but as you can see, we're at 1.3 million DPS. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, gem setup, so as far as your jewel setups, you pretty much, I've only got 2 jewels in this build actually. I've got a Watcher's Eye that gives me 25% Impale on hit with Pride. And then the other thing I've got is pretty much you want to try and roll any jewels that give you mana on hit to sustain mana. And anything that will give you crit multi. That's pretty much all you want. And also sword damage or physical damage to attacks. And if you need cap resistances, cap resistances. This tree is really basically built as well. So basically, I won't go into great detail, but basically we're picking up 2-hand nodes, a lot of life. This life pool can be increased with better, you know, boots that are focused on life, an amulet with more life, or rings with more life. Yeah, essentially there's not really much to it. The jewel that I've got in my actual belt is pretty basic freaking jewel. There's nothing to it. Realistically, you can craft that however you want. You can self-craft it. You could play this build pretty easily in solo self-found, to be honest with you. Even down to the sword, you can probably find a better sword by self-crafting a sword. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the gearing. Flasks, I'm just running standard quicksilver, a sulfur flask. I always run a quartz flask because I like phasing. I'm running a blood of the Karui, which I run on most builds, and then just another flask to mitigate bleeding damage, because bleeding damage is always a problem with Abyssus. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else very special about this build at all. Yeah, tree-wise now, the reason why we play champion is because we want this Master of Metal node, and this amps up your Impale. It also amps up your armor as well, which is going to mitigate the physical damage that comes off of your Abyssus. And obviously permanent fortify, and again more armor for having fortify and attack damage when you have fortify. And the other advantage of running the champion is when you run Cyclone, which you can now be disrupted in channel and stunned. You can actually get away with cannot be stunned while you have fortify, and that basically gives you gives you essentially no chance of getting stunned while you're cycloning around, which means it's like playing old school Cyclone as well. And then basically on the tree, you're just picking up Impale nodes. That's pretty much it. Harpooner, bloody forceful skewering, swift skewering, anything with skewering. We're going to go sword nodes, so sword nodes here. Yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about. Oh, and you know, when we do our anoint, we'll probably go Discipline of the Slaughter, and that's going to give us frenzy charges, because we generate frenzy charges off our Terminus Est, and we also generate frenzy charges off of our Blood Rage that we've got going on. Now, as far as gem setups go, and I'll just go back to this screen, and you'll see it in the POB. Your sword, you're going to want to go, and you can switch out Pulverizer. You can leave Pulverize out. It'll drop your DPS by a fair crack, actually. But basically, you're going to go Cyclone, melee physical damage, Impale. You're going to go Infused Channeling. Infused Channeling is going to give you further damage reduction, and it's also going to give you topside damage. You're going to go Brutality, and you're going to go Pulverize, and that's pretty much it. It's not a very complicated build at all. I've deliberately left out Cluster Jewels. I haven't balanced this with Cluster Jewels. I've just balanced this off of the standard tree, because not everyone can get their head across Cluster Jewels, and if you're new to the game, you know, it's not necessarily an easy way to go for a starter build or a beginner level cheap ass build. The other thing is, you know, there's plenty of ways that you can modify this build. You know, you can drop health off of it, you can cluster jewel it, you can do whatever you want with it to really amp it up. This is really just a skeleton build, just to sort of help people who are a little bit stuck. Okay, so we'll give this a shot on a you know, an alked up T14 map and see how it cranks. Okay, so we'll fire through this T14 map. Not sure why the textures are all left up, but they are. Oh, okay, now I know why. Frame drops. Jesus Christ, grinding gear games, you need to fix that. Right, as you can see, it pretty much creams through. Alright. Maybe now we can get through the map. Okay. So as you can see, it handles Delirium pretty well. We're just going to hold down the button and let it do its thing. Yeah, not a bad build at all. No min-maxing whatsoever.
Did I get a consolation prize? Get ready.
So we'll just sit it in there, take all this out.
A simple burning is not sufficient for you, brine rot. You will be incinerated. Oh, wow. Potomania with that one. Or Pyromania, forget which. Off your eyes. Just do. They'll be back. You are
Not as dumb as you seem.
So we'll just keep burning our way through. It's not a bad haul off a Delirium map. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the boss should be up. I hope the boss is up here. Oh, there he is. Yeah, I would say that that is a pretty sustainable build. There is definitely ample room for improvement, considering I'm using pretty shockingly crap gear on it. Yeah, anyway, that's a really basic beginner's, you know, Terminus Est sword bloody Impale champion. Yeah, from there you can probably do a shitload with it. I'll give you the tree in the description. You know, I'll give you the POB, I mean, and then yeah, you can take it from there, do whatever you want with it. You know, change it however you want. I haven't even put MTX on this bastard because, you know, there's no point. Anyway, that's how easy it is to get a build to cap 1.3 mil. And just in case you guys were wondering, and I'll show it here, that's Shaper Guardian DPS. 1.3 Shaper Guardian DPS. No crazy settings. You know, we have killed recently. We do taunt enemies with our Ascendancy, which is down here. There we go. 100% chance to taunt on hit with Conqueror. Yeah, and you know, by all means, you know, what I would probably be doing with this, you know, to further this is just keep increasing crit multi, crit chance, and also getting it closer to that 100% accuracy as well, because chance to hit at 100% accuracy increases your DPS significantly as well. So you may even want to run, was it War Banner, maybe better than Dread Banner even, you know. Anyway, there's a fair few directions you can take that. Anyway, if this video helps you, if you were stuck and you didn't know what to do, or PoE is just a very difficult game and you're struggling with it, give me a like, give me a sub. If you think this is garbage and, you know, you don't really care for this build, and you already play Impale Cyclone and it's, you know, a 20 million DPS build, good for you, but give me a dislike if that's the way it goes. And until next time, bye.